Hello and welcome. Today we are going to check the games from the World Cup round 4, game 1, just 32 players left. Very interesting pairings. We are commenting live and I'm commenting without an engine. To check chess with engine, I think it gives you a very different feeling than to look at the position without an engine. Engines are right now too strong, and I think once you check something with an engine, you lose the feeling, you lose control, because everything is so easy sometimes, and as we all know, that to play is hard. Let's start with a game on board 1. So we have Svane Fredrik, who lately plays just great chess, very successful chess. He managed to win against Gukesh in the last round. And we have Sargsyan Shad, who is as well, I think right now, maybe it's a top Armenian player. I'm not sure by rating, probably he is. So as well, a very strong GM. His current rating is 2664. Let's check a little bit the opening, and then we will see the final position. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, more and more Italian. It seems like somehow even maybe Italian is more often played than Spanish, which is a bit strange. So knight f6, bishop d3. Instead of knight f6, black can start with the move bishop c5, of course, but there is not a real big difference. Eventually, after the move d3, the difference is in case white is choosing to play the super sharp line with knight to g5. In the current game, we have the move d3, now bishop e7. Of course, bishop c5 leads us to the main position. Bishop e7 line as well, very, very solid line for black. Short castle, knight bd2. So white has here a few different setups. One of the popular setups is with a move rook to e1 to prevent the move d5. So for example, rook to e1, d6. Now black wants to play knight a5 next to win the bishop on c4, because there's nowhere the bishop can go. And here usually white is playing a4 or a3, so both is possible. Then usually the knight is getting to c3 next. Right now we see the move knight bd2. Eventually, it might lead us to similar position. It depends what black is going to play next. We see the move d6 being played. d5 is as well a possible option, leads to a lot of quite forced lines. So d6, I think, is the safest option. Next might be knight a5. The bishop has no squares to go, so we have the move a4 being made against the move knight to a5. Bishop e6, very, very safe, solid move. Another possible setup is with knight a5, bishop, let's say, goes to a2, and then we play the move c5. But somehow white managed to save a tempo right now, because we have no rook e1. And maybe rook e1 is useful, but I think to have straight the knight on bd2 is even more useful than the rook on e1. So eventually white maybe has some small edge. Even though, of course, not that obvious everything. Bishop e6, one of the safest continuations. Now we have the move rook e1 being made. Typical idea is knight f1, knight g3, all is pretty standard. Queen d7 as well, very solid. h3, h6. Very normal game, bishop to b5. This is quite original idea, and Svane Fredrik is thinking here for almost 30 minutes. I don't know if this is actually a good idea, because now white is giving up the bishop for the knight on c6, probably with the idea of playing d4 next. Maybe it is possible. More standard way of playing these positions is to play just the move, let's say a5. So I want to go a6 next. Black is going to play a6, and we just play c3 followed by b4, eventually somewhere d4. So this is like a standard way of playing. We see the move bishop b5, very original play. Black is playing a6, just 4 minutes of thinking. So the black player doesn't care about this bishop takes c6, which is, quite normal, I think, because in case we don't play a6 anyway, the move d4 is going to happen. So a6, black is forcing the white bishop to take on c6 and takes with a pawn to take with the queen as well is a possible decision. I think just we will see the move d4. Is this position better for white? Very hard to say, because to me it looks to be pretty okay for black. Eventually maybe we can just take and just let's go back to d7 for example. Can this be better for white? Hard to say. By feeling, I guess it should be around equal, so I don't know. I think black could have chosen as well to take with the queen on c6. We see bc d4. Black has to take on d4 because probably there's nothing else that black can do against d takes e5 next, so take. Rook e8, very standard way of playing. b3 as well, yeah. White has to develop the bishop from c1 somewhere. And c5, forcing. Take, bishop b2. I guess as well here the position should be very close to equal. Not much is going on. Knight c4, bishop f6, all is very solid. Queen takes as well. I think knight takes f6. The idea of white could be to play e5 probably, because otherwise it makes no sense. So we have this move e5, and yes, this is unpleasant because white is gonna take e takes d6 next. Queen takes f6 and queen to d5. Usually the idea of black should be here to change the knights. It's very important, because in case we change the knights, then we will have this idea of rook b8 followed by rook b4 with the idea of playing c4, which is quite important. So knight e5, very logical play by black, and Frederick Svane is thinking now what to play next. We have 27 minutes against 1 hour of black. Personally, I think this position is very safe for black. I would even maybe prefer a little bit to be black here, because I guess white wants to play for a win, but there is no way of playing for a win. So eventually this is a moment where theoretically you can get some counter chances, because white is going to overpush a little bit, and we have this idea of rook b8, rook b4 coming next in case the knights will be gone from the board. So it should be an equal position. But still, maybe it's a bit more pleasant to play for black, and we have this half an hour advantage. So I guess or we're gonna see a draw, or maybe we're gonna see black pushing a little bit. Let's see what happens next. Then we have the game between Liko and Iragasi, and we see already a draw. So very fast draw. Peter been white. Peter Liko doesn't need any introduction, I guess, and Iragasi as well. So both players made a short draw. Let's take a look what did actually happen. So we have Sicilian e6, the Paulsen Sicilian. It's usually a sign that black wants to play for a win, or at least to get an unclear position. And then let's see what happens. Bishop c5, very rare line. So Iragasi tries to find something to surprise Peter Liko, but is it a good idea to try to surprise Liko? Because eventually you end up playing a sideline, which might lead you to a difficult position. Of course, white has to play the correct moves to get there, but against Liko, I am not sure that this is a good strategy, because he just knows the line so well. But he's thinking here for 15 minutes before playing knight to b5. Of course, bishop c5, very rare move by black as well. I have no idea what should be done by white after bishop c5. Knight b5 is looking very normal. Let's see what is the idea actually of black. Knight f6. So we are back to the main. And usually this position appears after the move order knight f6. Knight to b5, and we have the move bishop c5, which is quite a rare answer. Usually we see the move d6, much more often played, and then we're back into the Sveshnikov. So this is the main line, just a different move order, and that's why bishop c5 would be a rare answer, and actually not so many people do the bishop c5 line. Let's see, knight f6, bishop f4. Yes, exactly. So this is the problem of the line with bishop c5. Actually, the move bishop f4 is the best. Short castle, bishop c7, all the theory, bishop d6 precisely, and he takes, queen takes d6. Yes, I always thought it should be a little better for white, and I'm sure that Liko is now back to his lines as well. We have long castle played fast by white, so yes, Liko, he knows what he's doing. All is still theory as well. Iragasi playing instantly. Very interesting how he managed to equalize. And we have here Liko with the move a4. Wow, what a move. in most of the cases, we have a very easy strategy. We don't move the pawns where we castle. A4, wow, A4 is normal, but then usually we have the king on E1 and then want to do short castle. But now with a long castle to play A4 to allow somewhere to move B5. I don't know, very risky. Obviously, Liko surely knew that the move A4 is a possible option, otherwise he would just not play it. Over the board to play a move like A4 is almost impossible. Very interesting move A4. But I don't know if this is the best, because there are so many different options here with white just to keep little advantage. Black is going to play b5 next, yes, but this is again all theory, a lot of games here, nothing new, and in most cases black is not really happy here, so slight advantage for white, but quite a safe advantage. So I don't know actually why Arkadij played this line. Hard to win with black. In any case, we have the move A4, very interesting move, and we have B5 played at tempo by Arkadij. So as well, Arkadij, he knows the move A4, B5, take, bishop takes B5, both players, and they know what they are doing. Knight E8 played very fast. Again, amazing preparation by both players. Rook A1 and Rook A8 back. So, well, this is a typical computer play, of course. Rook A1 check and Rook A8, and now the guys are repeating the moves. This is strange, because probably white should be able here just to play on. It doesn't look like black should have a full compensation. Yes, at some moment black is going to play like the move D5. I understand there's going to be some play because of the king on D2, but white has a full pawn up, so a bit strange decision by Liko just to repeat the moves, because I guess in rapid chess and blitz chess is going to be very difficult for the Hungarian player to resist against Indian number one. I don't know. Very strange game to me. Arkadij is trying to play a sideline, but it's not really a play for a win. So why not to make just to play the normal line? And we know that Arkadij is capable of playing so many different openings. Is it an opening to play for a win? Hard to say, in my opinion, no, because in worst case, as we see now, white can repeat the moves for white, of course, in worst case, and I think Liko should have played on in this position. From the feeling, the position of white should be better. So a bit surprising draw, a fast draw, but okay, let's see what happens in game number 3, board number 3. So we have Pragnananda playing Dubov, so one, I guess, of the most interesting matches. Both players young, both players strong, both players are very creative, so we should see interesting games. Both also very strong players in rapid and blitz, so we might say that Pragnananda has almost 100 ELO points in classical chess over Dubov, but I don't think that the advantage is that much. So eventually Pragnananda is a bit better player in the classical chess, but it's not a difference of 100 ELO points. It should be just a small difference, and Dubov went down a little bit by ELO lately, maybe just bored of playing classical chess, or maybe not enough motivation. In any case, I think it's going to be a very exciting match. This is the current position that we see now, but let's check the opening. We have the move e4, e5, again, this time Spanish, yes, I thought already, again Italian, no. So we see the Spanish, that's nice to see. We have the main line, the very, very main, and we have the Marshall. So Dubov is playing the Marshall, finally the main line of Marshall, because with so many games here with the move a4, so white didn't want to go for the main Marshall. Interesting what Pragnananda has prepared, h3, surprise. Little surprise already on move 10. Of course, the main line goes with knight takes e5, and so many games been played here. Currently, I haven't seen a game where white managed to prove any kind of advantage out of opening. So at the moment, usually we see a lot of equal positions in Marshall. We have the move h3, so might be something interesting. Bishop b7 played by Dubov, quite fast, just 3 minutes of thinking, and a4. So this is the idea, because in case white is gonna win the pawn on e5, then again I think this is just completely fine for black, because rook takes e5. Oh sorry, my mouse again doesn't want to move. Again, what is happening with my mouse? So let's try the third time. Yes, rook takes e5. Black can choose, try to get the bishop to d6 or f6, but probably here just bishop f6, we attack the rook, and the rook goes back. We have the move c5. Black is pawn down, but we have excellent development, so it should be enough compensation. Position should be completely fine for black. That's why the idea of white is to play a4. A bit strange, to be honest. A bit strange. It should be okay for black. All black needs to do is to defend the pawn on e5, but maybe it's not that simple to defend actually the pawn on e5. We have knight b6 played by Dubov. So as well, Dubov been a bit surprised by this a4 move. And indeed, it is a bit surprising, this combination of h3, a4. So like you do one move right, one move left. The idea of white, I have not actually... I don't know what is the idea of white, because in case we take, is it so useful to have the move a4? Yes, maybe sometime, but not so obvious. I guess the next move of white should be ab. Then white wants to change the pair of rooks, and after to win the pawn on e5. So the very bad rook on a1 would be exchanged. Yes, this might be the idea. Of course, black has like a move now to defend. And we have the move knight b6, a bit surprising, knight to b6 from the, by feeling there should be something else. Maybe it's possible to play the move b4. I guess it is the most logical response right now, just to play the move b4. I'm sure that Praggnanandhaa been well prepared what to do after b4. From my view, to be honest, very hard to judge what is the idea of white. Maybe the idea is now to win the pawn on e5, but why should be this better for white? Hard to say, very hard to say. So rook goes back, we play c5. Yes, maybe there is no threat of playing c4 next, but what does white want to do? The knight on b1, knight is dead, bishop cannot be developed so easily, the move d3 cannot be played, the pawn on c3 is hanging. No idea. Probably there is some idea, just I don't know it. So b4 should be one of the main answers here for black. Dubov chooses to play knight b6, maybe to take Praggnanandhaa out of his preparation, and indeed he manages. Now we have a5 played after 15 minutes of thinking, so probably Praggnanandhaa is not like performing an act, a theatrical act, just thinking for nothing. I guess white is now surprised by knight b6, so a5, quite logical. In case we take on b5, take, rook takes on a8. We're gonna take, probably, I don't know what to take here actually. Let's say we take with the queen, and can we take the pawn on e5? So take. We have this very dangerous bishop takes g2 coming, so probably there's an option of bishop f6. The rook cannot defend the g2 pawn, and in case of rook takes b5, let's say maybe there is something better for white, but let's make an example. We take on g2. Still, position is quite crazy, because there is an option of queen g4 somewhere. Things are by far not simple, but this bishop on c1, knight on b1, zero development, it might be completely okay for black. So at least black has good play. That's why we have the move a5 being played and knight to d7. So black manages to defend the pawn on e5. d3, interesting that we have the move d3, not the move d4, because somehow by feeling this is what usually you do with white, just to play the move d4 with the idea of take, and we take with a pawn. So now somewhere we have the threat of playing d5. Usually moves like bishop b4 are not so dangerous. Of course, we have to be careful with the pawn, but we have the move bishop d2. And eventually we try to be a little better with white. Hard to judge if white can be better here, because black might just play something simple like knight to f6. So black is waiting for white to play knight to c3 to follow up with the move bishop b4 and to win the pawn on a5. On the other hand, d5 might be the move, but all of that is very, very complex. So difficult to judge, very difficult to judge for me so fast. We have the move knight to b4, knight c3, and eventually there are options with playing just the move c6. Position is very complicated with a lot of ideas on both sides. I would like to mention once again, I'm commenting without an engine. So yes, I do a lot of mistakes like anybody else. But to look just at an engine line, for me, it's boring. And I think there is quite a small learning effect from that, because we are not engines. Engines are just too strong and they play different chess than humans. Alright, so if I make some mistakes, it's completely normal, and I'm sure I make a lot of mistakes in my commentaries. Let's go, let's proceed to the move in the game. So we have the move d3. This is a little bit strange to me. So king h8, quite logical, because f6 might be coming next. Eventually even f5 is possible. And now d4. What is that? 15 minutes of thinking for d3, king h8, and now to play d4. This is like, I don't know. This is too complex chess for me. When you play d3, can you anticipate the move king h8? I don't think so, because black has as well many different options. For example, knight c5 is looking normal as well. Now king h8, now d4. So at some moment, maybe the pawn f7 is weak, because black has the king on h8. Okay, interesting. On the other hand, yeah, quite shocking. Imagine to play d3 and then d4. This is what we learn not to do. Once you played something, you don't move the same piece, especially this d3, d4 in two moves. Strange play by Praganda, but maybe a good play. So, but again, how to anticipate king h8? d4, all right, and black is playing the move e4. So Dubov is going for a very straight approach. I guess the idea is now that after rook takes on e4, there is knight takes on a5, and the rook on e4 is hanging, and black is going to play knight takes b3 next. Of course, white might try something like rook takes e7, and now is the question, what do we do here with black? Should we take and then maybe take on f3, or should we go for knight takes b3? So maybe knight b3 is even better. So white has to take, I guess, on d7, because there is nothing better. So we take, white is taking on b3, so we take on f3, and black just takes on h3. This must be good for black, because the white pieces are still on the starting position. There is f5 coming next, rook f6, and rook g6 with a mate. So all this is looking good for black. That's why after e4 we have the move knight h2 being played. All is pretty normal. But now black has the option of playing f5. That's why maybe this d3, d4 idea actually was not the best. Why not to go just d4 instantly? This is strange to me, because now e4, knight h2, we have no f5. So this is much better version for white. And then d4, e4, knight h2, f5. Can this be good for white? Maybe it's good for white. Very complex position. Knight on c6 is really bad. It's hard for black to get the pawn to c5. On the other hand, we have f5, e4, which is nicely placed. Very complicated. Knight to d2. Yes, bishop d6. All is normal. And immediately we see the move f3. Good play by white, because white has to do something against this f5, e4. Now the question is, can black defend, or better to say, can black be active enough to have sufficient compensation? We should not forget that pawn on a5 is quite weak, so for white it's going to be very difficult to do something with a rook on a1. In theory, of course, many moves ahead. Black should try to do something on the king side, and this is what black is doing actually by playing knight f6. Very dynamic position. We have 43 minutes for Pragnananda and we have Dubov with 23 minutes left, but both players are very strong with a little time on the clock, so at the moment still enough time. On the other hand, we have move 17, 23 moves to go. Position is crazy. By feeling, I like the position of black. Maybe I'm completely wrong here and actually white is doing better, but by feeling, black should be doing well because we have this beautiful bishop on d6, the pawn on e4, I guess. F takes E, so okay, we take back. Knight takes e4 is not working because we can take, and we take knight takes a5. So the idea of knight a5 we know already. And what should white do here? So for example, knight g4 is possible. Of course, big pressure on the e4 pawn, but on the other hand, the king is not so safe on g1. So we have moves like bishop g3. As well, we can do something, I think, positional. So maybe we can play... No, knight e7. No, this is too slow, way too slow. So I think black should play faster, maybe something like bishop g3. So bishop attacks the rook on e1, and as well maybe we can try next knight takes d4 to sacrifice a piece. Then we get like queen d4 check, and bishop on b7 is becoming a very strong piece, and then we push on the white king. Hard to say who's doing better. By feeling, black should be doing well, but I'm really not sure because maybe white manages somehow to stabilize, and yes, we have this d4 c3 very strong pawn structure. So I don't know. We will see. I think the next 5 moves, 10 moves are going to be decisive, at least to know which direction we are going to go with the current game. So very interesting game. We should remember to check the game a bit later once again because it's gonna be very interesting, I think. So next is Bluebaum and Donchenko. We have the two Germans fighting for the entry to the 5th round of the World Cup. Both of them having great tournament. Donchenko taking out Giri from the World Cup. To beat Giri, not an easy task, especially in classical. So he won against Giri 1.5-1. Nice win by white. Impressive result. And Bluebaum is winning basically everything he plays lately. He qualified to the candidates. He won twice the European Single Championship, etc., etc. So Bluebaum showing unbelievable results lately, and as well in the World Cup at the moment. He is already in the round 4, winning quite convincingly. Doesn't matter who he faces. Great shape. Both Germans are in great shape. Position-wise, currently we see move 24. Very interesting position because the pawn might become very strong. On the other hand, we have the strong knight on c4, so very dynamic play at the moment. Let's start from move 1 to check what did actually happen. So we have the move d4, and yes, we have Grunfeld, one of the popular lines with bishop c4. Okay, at the moment this is all theory, and we have the move b6 as well. This is all theory. Bishop b7 as well. We can see by the time spent by both players playing very fast. Queen d2, all is normal. e6, e6. Is it e6 or is it queen c7? What black usually does. I'm not a Grunfeld player, so I don't remember. Okay, maybe it is the move e6. Rook to d1, all is normal. Rook c8 as well, and bishop b5. Interesting move, bishop b5, because quite rare to see bishop b5. The idea should be to play d5 next. Usually, in case, for example, it would be black to play, so black wants to take on d4. Let's say white would do some random move like h4. h4 maybe not possible, maybe possible. I don't know if h4, because I think Magnus played it once, h4, and it was very strong because black could not take on h4. There is something like bishop g5, and then we try to catch the black queen. Maybe it does work here as well, maybe not. I don't know. In case black cannot take on h4, I think h4 is making sense. But there's another example which I wanted to mention, that probably black would just take CD, CD, and just to play knight a5 for black, it's very important to change as many pieces as possible. So this idea knight a5, it's very typical. White goes back because e4 pawn was hanging, and black is usually taking on c1. The idea is rook takes c1. For example, we can choose between keeping the queen like queen d7, or we might even go queen a8. So some pressure on the e4 pawn. In case of f3, we try to change one pair of rook, so the last pair that is there, and rook cannot really go somewhere because there is knight c4. Still, position is dynamic. I don't say that black is doing well here. I don't know who is doing well here. It could be black, it could be white. It looks pretty normal, everything to me. So with chances on both sides, but this is basically the idea for black to change as many pieces as possible, because when white has a strong center, usually white is trying to play or in the center, or try to play the slow attack on the king on g8 by playing h5, some moves like bishop g5 eventually. So white is dominating in the center, so it gives white more chances to do something. So as more black changes, as safer it gets. That's why it's very important for black to change as many pieces as possible, and of course as fast as possible. So we have this move bishop b5. It is a defense against straight cd cd knight a5. It comes without an attack on the bishop on b5, and as well d5 might be a threat. C takes d4 still, and still knight a5. So Naiditsch says it's alright, I don't really care that the bishop is not under attack. Still I want to change the rooks on the c file. Okay, pretty normal play, and take bishop g5. So maybe this was the idea of blue bomb by putting the bishop on b5. Actually very interesting position, because in case black is taking on e4, probably there is bishop e7. The rook from f8 has no squares to go, but is it so simple here? Because I don't know. There might be some tactic for black, but maybe there's just nothing, and white is going to win the rook on f8. After that, position of white should be better. Exchange up. Black has just a pawn for that. This is usually not enough compensation, so this is probably the idea of blue bomb. How can black defend against it? We have Naiditsch, bishop a6. Makes sense. I mean, bishop a6 is making perfect sense. He continues to follow the main strategy of black, is to change as many pieces as possible. Looks normal. I don't know if actually black could try something like f6. So the idea of f6 might be to win the pawn on e4. Problem, after the move f6, we have the move rook c1 in between. So the black queen should go b8 or d8. I don't know where it's better to go. Let's say d8, because I think white still would try to play the move bishop f4 probably, or maybe there is even some tactic with the move knight f4 and knight takes e6. Very complicated. Knight on a5 is completely out of the game, so white maybe tries to use the moment. On the other hand, I'm not sure that this is working. Maybe it's just bad for white, because we can go like queen e7, defending the pawn on e6, bishop is hanging. Is there something that white can do? Yes, we have the move d5, but probably it's not enough by feeling. Again, all that must be calculated, so probably the idea of blue bomb was to play bishop f4, to give away the pawn on e4 and try to play something like rook c7, but then is coming the move e5. So I don't know how to make it work. To put the bishop on c7 making no big sense, or is there a sense? Maybe. So we have bishop c7. Idea might be queen e7, and now to play something like queen f4, attacking the bishop, and bishop to d6 next. But all of that is so complicated, so complicated, hard to judge. I really don't know, not sure. It is very complex. Interesting that blue bomb played almost instantly the move bishop g5. How did he manage to calculate all that within a minute? Maybe he been expecting knight a5 move, but okay, it's not so obvious as well here. Black has couple of different options, but to play bishop g5 instantly, well, I don't know. I don't know how does he do it, because there's really a lot that needs to be calculated, especially the move f6, because or it's good or it's bad. The e4 pawn might fall. I don't know. Looks to me, or he knows it, or maybe he gambles it works, but it would be strange to gamble in game 1, so little bit strange as well. Donchenko plays instantly the move bishop a6. Maybe they knew the position. Alright, so I have the move rook c1. Now white is taking on a6 and playing d5. Yeah, d5 is forced. There is no more time to waste for white. All black needs to do is to play rook c8, and black is going to be a little better, even because in an endgame, the structure of a7, b6 versus a2 is better than the structure of white, but only in an endgame. So in case black reaches the endgame, black is better. White is pushing the move d5, makes sense. Knight c4 as well, all is pretty normal. b5, good move, or at least it looks like a good move, defending from the move d6. On the other hand, we have this bishop e7. Yeah, d6 is coming next. Rook to b8 and knight d4. Interesting move, knight d4. White to play actually rook to b8. Was it possible to play the move rook to c8? Maybe not, because d6 seems to work. In case we go like knight takes d6, doesn't work, so we have knight e5 move. Can white push the move d7? Yes, I think so. So d7, yeah, seems to work. This is a problem. This is a problem for black. That's why we see the move rook b8 being played. Okay, makes sense. And now knight d4. What would happen in case of d6 with the same idea of playing d7 next? Is there a defense for black? We see that blue ball did not play that, so for sure there is something. Just we need to find it. To go back with a knight, I don't think it is the best option. So yes, we can bring the knight back to d7, but the rook is eventually coming to c7. Knight e5, probably not. So bishop f8 looks quite normal to change the very strong bishop on e7, and maybe the idea could be to take with a king on f8, even though I'm not 100% sure, because we have this queen d4, queen h8 idea. On the other hand, the king might get to d7 to block the pawn with a king. Looks weird, but maybe it's not so bad. So the question is, of course, is it possible to play something like queen d4? But at the moment, the pawn on d6 is hanging. Very, very complicated position. In case of d7, we can go king e7. Yeah, the king is very safe on e7. The pawn d7 is going to fall long term. I don't know. I don't know how to evaluate this position. It's pretty forced. We might try something like e5 with white, for example. In case of knight takes on e5, maybe now the move queen d4 is strong, because queen h8 is a deadly threat. So black has to play like f6, and maybe, I don't know, knight f4, rook c7. It looks good for white, to be honest. It looks like white should have very, very nice compensation for the pawn down. So maybe after e5 there is something better that black can do. For example, to take just on a2 with the idea of changing queens. Position is very complicated. I don't know. I don't know who is doing better here. I think both has chances, many different options, yeah. On one hand, very, very strong pawn on d6, which is protected, plus king on f8 is not so good. On the other hand, in case black is going to reach an endgame, probably this endgame is going to be winning for black. So, how to evaluate such a position? I would say with chances on both sides. If white finds nothing, of course, black is doing super well. On the other hand, if white has some trick, then it's a problem for black. So, I don't know, very, very complicated. In any case, we have the move knight d4 being played, so maybe blue bomb as well, but not 100% sure. And we have the move rook c8. So the idea rook b8, rook c8 is to stop white from playing the move d6, because now in case of d6 we have this knight takes d6 and the rook is hanging on c1. If white is taking on c8, then we can just take back with a knight. And black is of course a bit lucky not to get mated, queen d8, but I don't see a mate, so knight takes e7 is coming next, or black is just doing well. So seems not to work for white, at least I don't see how it should work. Maybe there is something, but I don't see it. And we have the move knight to b3. This is surprising answer by white a bit, because usually we don't want to move back with a knight. It would be more natural to put the knight somewhere like c6, just probably he couldn't make it work, because in case of knight c6 there is knight e5. So again, the problem on the c file. Very complicated positioning. Once again, so many different options as well. We have some maybe ideas like just to go bishop b4, because the queen cannot be taken, I think, because of knight e7 check. But maybe I win the bishop and that's it. Yeah, so maybe I can actually take it. So king f8, rook c8, just to take with the queen. Yeah, and black is winning. So bishop b4 been not good. Maybe we have some better square for the bishop. Maybe something like where to put the bishop, actually, not to blunder it. Bishop a3 feels strange to play bishop a3, but maybe who knows, maybe bishop a3 is possible, but I don't know, feels like not the square to go. Maybe something like bishop g5 as well feels strange to play bishop g5. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe nothing is working actually. So yes, this is why we don't see the move knight to c6. To play knight to b3 feels strange still. The threat is to play d6 next, maybe somewhere knight c5, but I don't know. By feeling it should be okay for black now. White been a bit too slow. Black is just taking, playing bishop f8. Yeah, very safe play by Donchenko. Takes, and yes, I guess this should be an equal position. I don't see how to push d6. Probably it's not possible. In case white is not managing to get d6 or to get the knight to c6, then white's position is just equal. I guess as well it's difficult to be better for black. Yes, a2 is sort of a little weak, but white is going to have always sufficient compensation. Looks like an equal position to me. Let's check the next game. The next game is between Pranav and Yakuboyev. According to the ELO, Yakuboyev is favorite. He has almost 50 points, 50 ELO points more than Pranav, but actually I would think that Pranav is by far not an underdog. He's a young Indian player. He won the World Juniors under 20. I think Pranav is on a strong uprise. So I think he is actually, in my opinion, I would bet on Pranav to get to the next round. I think he is a slight favorite over Yakuboyev. We have currently a position which seems to be like a pawn up for white. On the other hand, maybe black is fast enough to win the pawn back. Yes, then it should be just a draw, because yeah, equal pawns. There is not much to play with. Let's see the opening. e4. Also, we see a lot of e4 games. Yeah, not so many players do proceed with the first move d4. We have Sicilian, we have Naidorf with g3. Knight of g3. I played a lot of games in the g3 line. Just usually after the move e5, white is continuing with the move knight to b3. This time I have the move knight e2. As well, possible option. All is pretty normal. Castle. We have the move b5, which is very typical for Naidorf, and we have straight the move knight to d5. Also normal as well. It would be normal to play first the move a4 to provoke b4 and then to get the knight to d5. One of this is looking pretty normal. Knight to d5. Both players playing fast for the moment. Knight d7 as well looks perfectly okay, because in case usually in these positions we should try to avoid the knight takes f6, bishop f6. So this is what black wants to avoid. That's why after knight to d5, usually we see or knight takes d5 or the move knight to d7. Usually, it's not so scary that white is going to play knight takes e7. This is usually not enough to get advantage for white. We just take. And then black has easy development with bishop b7, knight c5, and so on. So yes, bishop pair for white, but bishop on g2, not impressive. Bishop on c1, not impressive yet. And black has easy play. So usually it is perfectly okay for black. We see the move knight e3 being played quite fast by Pranav, so probably it was his preparation. Eventually he wants to go knight c3, knight d5, so bad knight on e2 will get a nice position on d5. On the other hand, white lost a lot of time. Knight to b6, queen d3. Little strange setup, to be honest. I don't know what is the idea of white here. White lost like so much time by playing like knight c3, knight d5, knight e3, then this knight on g1, f3, d4, knight e2 back. So many moves with the knights, and still black, white is doing, of course, very safe. But can this be better? I don't think so. I think black is having a comfortable play. Rook to d8, very normal preparation for playing d5 at some moment. And as well, black does not want to decide to play bishop b7 or to play just a simple bishop b6, which is not bad, because in case white is playing knight f5, we can take the knight, and in case of knight to d5, the bishop on c8 is going to be better placed. So rook d8, pretty logical. b3, bishop e6 now. Alright, so d5 is coming next. White has to do something against it. Knight c3, d5, still d5, yeah? Quite interesting that still the move d5. In case of rook c8, probably the idea of white is to play knight cd5. And here, black should think, maybe bishop takes d5 actually. E takes d5, knight f5 is not so dangerous, and we have quite a good play on the c file. Can this be better for white because of the bad knight on b6? Not sure. I think it's a complex position. As well, maybe it's simpler for black just to take with a knight and play bishop d7. Maybe. I think in both cases, black is having a nice position in my opinion. Also here, this looks nice for black. We have this nice pressure on the c file. Of course, white might play something like c4, but I cannot imagine that this position is better for white, because white should be better. I don't see a reason for that. I think black is doing fine. Some simple moves, maybe like even g6, because just to be safe, or maybe something more dynamic. Can we attack the pawn on c4? Maybe we cannot immediately, but we can go like queen a5. So let's say bishop d2 just to get the queen to a4. Some extra pressure on the c4 pawn might be useful. And next, maybe to play just rook b8, so we fight for the b file. In both cases, I think, again, it doesn't seem to me that white is doing better here. In any case, d5. In case d5 works, it's a strong answer. And e4, so this was the idea of Yakuboyev. Okay, it's looking nice. Queen e2. So the idea is probably in case of bishop takes e4 just to take it back and to play bishop takes h3. The bishop pair should give black enough compensation. This is correct, yes. This looks like enough compensation. That's why queen e2 back, knight takes d5. Yes, why not? And bishop e4. Of course, he saw that, but yes, black should have enough compensation here. Bishop f6, attacking the rook on a1 as well. Rook ac8 is coming next. Good game. Good game by Yakuboyev. Bishop f4, queen d7. Yes, as we said, the pawn on h3 is falling, and it's probably just a draw. Rook c1. I guess we're gonna see the move queen takes h3 next, and yes, white might try to play c4, and for example, queen takes h3, c4, and take. Okay, you can take with a rook, rook takes c4, but this is just a draw. Maybe little chances after b takes c4 with the idea of c5, c6, c7. In case white gets the pawn to c7, yes, white is better, but I don't think it is objectively possible to get the pawn to c7. Black should have enough counterplay. For example, maybe just a simple queen e6 secures a draw, because in case we take c5, there is just a move e5, and I guess it should be very, very close to a draw. Now c6 is not dangerous any longer. We should be able to get king f7, king e6, and defend the position. Maybe white is doing a little better because of the idea rook b1, rook b6, which might be annoying. Still, it should be close to draw, but yes, it's a bit of a suffer for black. Maybe I think black should be able to do something better than queen e6. Maybe we have moves like g5 now. Looks usually risky to play g5, just so little pieces remain on the board, so g5 might be fine. And maybe bishop e3 or something like that for white. How can we stop this c5, c6? Maybe rook e8 is looking normal. Maybe there's even something better that we can push on the king side, but I don't see how to push on the king side. So maybe a rook e8 followed by rook e6 could be an option. On the other hand, c5, c6 is coming, so to play like rook e8, queen f3, for example, rook c8, because okay, the rook is hanging. Obviously, we cannot go rook e6, c5, and somehow black should be able to change this bishop 6 versus bishop e3, then it is just a straight draw. I don't know. I don't see immediately how to change, but there should be a way to do that. It doesn't feel like that white is doing much better, so maybe some small edge, but for white, but it should be a draw. Black should be able to find a way to make a draw here. I'm quite convinced in that. Let's go to the game of Yesipenko against Kamer. In my opinion, this is the second most interesting match after the match of Dubov and Pragnananda, because both players are very strong in classical, rapid, and blitz chess. Of course, Vincent Kamer is currently in a great shape. I think he's currently world number 4, if I'm not mistaken, so he is climbing, playing great chess, German number 1. And we have Yesipenko, who's been on a level of, let's say, 2,700 for a very long time, young Russian player. Italian, again, black is starting with the move knight f6 and now bishop c5, so Vincent Kamer is playing the main Italian, a4. There are so many different move orders. It does not matter for us so much, because to understand all this little difference in Italian is just too difficult, even for the players themselves who are actually playing, because they're so small. Bishop e3, the usual question for black: to take on e3 or not to take on e3, to do nothing or to go back bishop b6. Vincent Kamer is thinking for a while in playing bishop b6. I don't know. I don't know why actually he does it. In my opinion, in case we play something simple like bishop takes, bishop takes e3, pawn takes, and then simple bishop e6, I don't understand why this is worse for black. Yes, it might be very, very, very little worse. So it's like 50.1 versus 49.9, but more, I think the game just should end into a draw, because usually white is continuing with the move knight to d2. In case white takes, we have just a symmetrical position, so black is gonna castle short side, and in my opinion, it's just a draw. So after bishop e6, in most of the cases we see knight d2, short castle. Yes, it is a playable position, but I believe that it's just so close to be equal. We have bishop b6, quite interesting. Queen e1, very nice. This is very, very nice, because white wants to play a5 next. What a creative way of playing for white, and then black cannot play a5 by themselves, because obviously white takes. This is better for white because of the bad structure. for black. So after queen e1, in case black would take now on e3, of course ef takes e3 and the queen is getting to g3, so white would be a tempo up. Very nice move, queen e1. We have bishop on e6 been played. All right, white takes, and we have the move a5, take. So finally, yeah, I don't know if this would make some big change actually to the position. Is white like half tempo up, but I don't think it matters much. So short castle, queen c3. Unusual way for the queen to be placed on c3. Usually white would keep the queen on g3, but maybe queen c3 is good. But the idea is probably to play b4, like queen to b3, then c4, b5, maybe. Queen d7, knight d2, b5 played by Gamer. Good move, b5. Why not? a6. So white is playing for a win, because in case Yesipenko would like to make a draw, he could just change, and most probably the game would end into a draw. a6, knight e7, but can this be better for white? I don't know, and I don't think so. So d4, take, knight g6. Interesting. Out of completely boring position, we got at least position with a little bit of play. Maybe white is really doing a bit better, even though it should be still close to equal. So they have the move h3, rook b8, queen e3, positional play. Rook is a little risky place on b6, but maybe it's good because we want to go queen c8 next and eventually win the pawn on a6. On the other hand, maybe white is in time to do something in the center. Let's see. c4, yeah, he's pushing, but is it a good move, c4 instantly? I don't know. Take. Now the rook is very nicely placed on the b file. We have rook b4, b3, rook b8. So why he's provoking the move b3 and just going back? In case we go back immediately, why is it so good to have the pawn on b3? I don't know that. Maybe the idea is that queen cannot move from e3, but well, no idea. No idea what why to play first rook to b4. All right, maybe it just doesn't matter. So this is how he felt. We have the move knight on d2, protecting the pawn on b3 just in case. All is pretty normal. Knight to e7, rook f2, queen b5, and rook f3 as well. Rook f2, rook f3. Both 10 minutes before playing rook f2, 10 minutes before playing rook f3. I guess he hoped that he can do more with white, that he can push at some moment the move e5, d5, something, but probably nothing is working. So he tries to play like a solid move. Let's see what black is gonna do. Knight on c6 and rook to g3. Well, it looks to be, in my opinion, completely okay for black. I don't believe in this attack with a rook and queen. Yes, there is a threat of playing queen takes h6 next, but this threat can be easily avoided by playing something like king h8 as well. Maybe black has the opportunity of playing knight h5, maybe rook g4, and yes, what can we do here now with black? Can actually black play for a win? Eventually, I think if somebody plays for a win, it should be black here. I don't like this rook on g4 so much. Maybe it's just a draw after knight f6, so we keep on repeating the moves, but I think black might be able to find something more than repeating the moves, because now the b file is open, e5 or d5, very difficult to get. On the other hand, black as well cannot do much, so I don't know, I would say around equal, maybe some slight edge for black. Yes, I think Vincent is playing for a win with the move queen to h5. He just keeps the game going, and he hopes to get now maybe d5 or e5 in a good moment. This structure b3, a6 is looking horrible. No, but this move c4 I really don't like by Yesipenko, because okay, this cannot be the right option. Doesn't look good. It's just not the way white should act here. Strange that he played it. He could find no defense against queen c8, rook a6, which is also strange, because even if there is queen c8 next, we have queen b3, so black can never take on a6 because black is gonna lose the b5 pawn. So I don't know. Maybe he played for a win with a move c4, but it's not a play for a win. I don't get the move c4, very strange to me. Alright, the next game is between Wei and Matsudlu, a very interesting match. Just I think in this match Wei is quite a favorite, because Matsudlu of course is a great attacking player, just he's not so stable, and Wei is extremely stable, so Wei can play easily 20 games without a blunder. Wei is very strong in rapid and blitz and very strong in tactics. Matsudlu sometimes playing a great tournament, the next tournament is not so great after that. As we saw in the FIDE Grand Swiss, he was leading, he started I think with 3 out of 3, then he had like 4 out of 5, or 4.5 out of 5, I don't remember now precisely. And once he started to lose some games, in the end, I think he just made +1, so he made like 6 out of 11. So after being a leader of the tournament, this was of course a horrible result for Matsudlu. So very emotional player Parham. That's why my favorite is Wei in this match. It looks like a short draw, so let's see what happened. Maybe the strategy of Wei is just to get to tiebreak and he hopes to win. So we have Caro-Kann with e takes d5, not the most ambitious line for white. Now the move e5, yes, it leads, I think, almost straight away to position that is maybe slightly better for white, but I think just to draw. So queen e4, all is normal, little strange, queen e4, okay, but maybe a good move. So check and knight to d7, knight f3 and a6. So the next moves are deciding the game, because if white has nothing by force and black is doing just okay, so position is going to be equal. Queen is back, knight e5, knight d2, take, just queen f3 is now, he just wants to make a draw. So Wei is not even trying to play for a win. I think, or I guess it is his strategy just to get to a tie break. So he says with white to draw, that's okay, because this position is equal. We have the isolated pawn on d5, but black has bishop pair. It's not enough to push for a win here with white. White is maybe super little better, but even that is very questionable. So I believe it's just equal. As you can see, the Wei is just repeating the moves. He doesn't care. So both players been happy to have a short day. All right, so not a very interesting game. Let's see what happens tomorrow here. Then we have Sarana losing already with white to Martinez Alcantara. How he lost that fast? Let's see what happened here. Losing with white is tough because you need to win tomorrow with black. This is difficult. We have this line with e4. So this is a very forced line, which been analyzed for so many years. Bishop a5. Actually here, when I've been younger, we saw that maybe bishop f8 is an interesting option. Quite a funny move, yeah, that you want to get the pawn on g7 and black cannot take on f8 because of queen d8 mate. I think currently this move leads just to an equal position as well. So we have bishop a5, f6. All is theory. We will not go into the details of theory because it just makes no sense. Bishop h5, both players still playing fast. King f1, queen c7. We have 128 for Sarana, 134 for Martinez Alcantara, both still in their line. e5, knight e4, so very strange position. White is pawn down. On the other hand, white is getting the knight eventually to d6. A bishop pair. White should have enough compensation, but if white is better, hard to say. Bishop f5, still playing fast. Martinez Alcantara, amazing. Knight to d6. This is the first moment when Sarana took some time to think. Maybe bishop f5 came as a surprise. Of course, position is just so complex, so many ways of playing it. We have like queen d6 idea. We have the move played in the game, knight on d6. Eventually there is no threat for black, so maybe I don't know, white can try something positional like let's say h4 move, because it's useful to get like h5 in case white can. As well, we have positional moves like b4 with the idea of queen a4 next. So many different options for white. Knight d6 looks pretty normal. Still, Martinez Alcantara in his preparation. Takes, queen a4, alright. Knight c5, queen c6. So we have this endgame. It looks from the first view to be a little bit better for white, but eventually it's just a forced draw because rook d8, interesting. Rook to d8, so it's not like a rook to c8. All right, we have rook to d8. Next is coming knight e7, and the question is, can white do something fast? Because after knight e7, black will bishop has to go like f3, and then we have this knight a4. So the idea for black is, of course, to get one of the white's bishops. Bishop f3 instantly, and knight e7, because knight a4, we have bishop b4 check. Okay, knight e7 is normal, b3 avoiding the move knight a5, also normal, king g7. All right, but is it not a little bit better for white? I don't know. White has bishop pair, so also strange move king g7, because would be a bit more logical to go like king f7, king e6, in my opinion, just to have the king in the center. Black is playing king to g7, rook e1. Also, that is a little strange to get rook e1. There's nothing better for white than rook to e1. I don't know. Something strange is going on here, because in my opinion, we have the bishop pair, so long run white should be doing well. All we need to do is to get the rook from h1 to d1. So for example, if we could play like rook to d1, this would be a clear plus for white. Maybe there is no way to get it, so this is a plan of black. Interesting, because maybe if I go like g3, there is rook to d3, so g3 not possible. How to get the rook out of from h1? Maybe there's just no way. So this is the idea of black. Very deep preparation, yeah. Very, very nice preparation by black, because it's not easy to understand that actually white might be doing worse here. In case I cannot get the rook from h1 to d1, then black is better. So Sarana finds nothing except playing a rook e1, and he played it fast. All right, knight g6, pretty normal. And then we have the move g3 been played. Rook to d3, rook to e3. So this is the way he wanted to. Rook to d3. Is it forced to play rook to d3? Because now rook e3 and rook d8. This is the idea of black. Okay, looks normal. Yeah. Also, black is playing so fast. Martinez Alcantara continues playing so fast. I think another idea of black could be to play e4 eventually, because after bishop e2, now we have a choice, because we can think of playing f4, we can think of playing knight e5, knight to d3. Many interesting options for black. Position of black is looking better. Rook d3, quite fast played. Rook to d8, bishop e2. Okay, rook d7 back to keep both rooks on the board, and as well f4 might be coming next. A strong play by black. Black is playing a very nice game. Rook to g1, knight e4. Okay, so eventually black wants to take on c3, bishop e1, and knight to d2. Okay, king g2. Now things are getting forced. f4, rook c3, e4. Yeah, this is looking so bad now. Out of nothing, white's position seems to be just falling apart. Bishop g4, trying to escape with the bishop and attacking the rook on d7. Rook to d3. Yeah, this is looking bad. This is looking bad. We see one of the few rare cases where two knights are dominating over the bishop pair. It does not happen too often, so quite an interesting case, and as well quite a rare case. Rook c2. Usually when you're defending, you're trying to change as many pieces as you can, but Sarana decides to keep the rooks on the board. I don't know, strange game in general. and this does not look well now. Now I understand why why he lost so fast. Knight f3, and basically that's it. There's no defense, I guess, for white. Yeah, too many threats. Knight d4, attacking bishop, rook d1, bishop e1, rook g1. Yeah, this is game over. Bishop takes e4, knight takes g1, takes, and knight f3. Yeah. Oh, but it's completely over because as well, knight takes d3 might be possible. So he had like double solution, but knight f3 is better. Or bishop on e1 is hanging, bishop on d3 is hanging, and it's game over. What a game! What a game! Wow. And white resigns. Yeah, it seems, I think, like the match is basically over. It's gonna be very difficult tomorrow for Sarana to win classical game with black pieces. And yes, Martinez Alcantara played very nice game, great preparation, great execution. Two knights versus two bishops, and knights dominates. Rare example on that. Very nice win. We have Grandelius against Hare Krishna. I don't expect much from this match. Usually very safe both. So we have Spanish, Marshall eventually again, but this time a4. So anti-Marshall, and bishop g5. Liko played not so long ago, I think 2 rounds before. D takes e5. We see the move bishop g5 played by Grandelius, eventually preparation. Bishop g4, normal, takes, knight on d2, knight d7, very normal play. I think white just wanted to make a draw. Yeah, this is not a play for a win. I think that's it. e5 and massive changes. Yeah, this is just a draw. So Grandelius did not even try to play for a win. Maybe Niels is trying to win in Rapid and Blitz chess. Hard to say who is actually a favorite in Rapid and Blitz. I guess, for example, both of them are not really that strong in Rapid and Blitz usually. I don't know. Let's see how the match goes. I don't have a favorite here. Difficult to say. The next game is about Sevian Samuel is white, American player, well known, 2700, and we have maybe the biggest surprise of the tournament, Italian Grandmaster Lodici, who's playing amazing tournament on a very high level game. So maybe he was lucky a little bit sometimes, but very high level chess what he's showing, and he's under 2600, so I guess he's biggest surprise so far. We have Reti, or now Catalan, because we have the bishop on g2, so usually we call the structures Catalan structures. Bishop d6, quite interesting by Lodici, because not the main line. Knight c3, and now d takes c4. A bit strange play, but maybe it's good. Let's see. a6 and knight f8. Wow, what is that? It's not a standard way of playing these positions. Usually we see the move like c5 been made, and the idea of black is to get somehow the bishop to b7, after which everything is fine. We see the move knight f8. I'm not sure that this is the best. Knight e4, so Sevian tries to punish black for doing something strange. Bishop e7, take, and queen e4. It looks a bit better for white, in my opinion. Queen to d5, yeah, strong move, because there is no reason to put the knight on g6. The knight on g6 is not so well placed, because we can play h4, h5 in the future, so this would be better. For white, we have the move queen to d5, queen c2 as well, very normal. Maybe there is something like d3, but I don't know. Let's say this position, can it be better for white? Hard to say. Probably not. By feeling, black should be able to be fine here. So d3, maybe not the best. So queen c2, pretty logical, and e5, another strange move by black. I don't know. I really don't like what Lodici is doing, because now the white squares are pretty bad. Maybe it's not easy to punish black for that, but it looks not so good. Maybe white as well has some interesting options, like to play e4 and immediately go d4 followed by e5, so to push, because the black king is still on e8, as well as the knight is on f8. Knight wants to get to e6, but this is how we might be able to stop knight from getting to e6. On as well, we have like queen takes c7, but queen c7 is a tricky move. I don't know. I don't know if it works, because there is just simple knight e6 followed by too far, followed by e4, and the knight from f3 will need to go to g1, so it doesn't look so great. Short castle, which is the most logical reply at the move e4. Now we have the option of playing knight to e1. So knight e6, d3. Maybe a bit too simple. Yes, it looks better for white, but it's a bit too simple. I think white could have done something better, to hope for more than just a small advantage, because white is playing for a very small advantage, especially the move b3, so not very creative play by white. Actually, white has spent a lot of time, 30 minutes before playing short castle. Maybe he was calculating this e4 and followed by d4. Finally, he decided not to play it, and now he had only 23 minutes for the next 23 moves. So e3, knight g5, nice play by black. Yeah, to change the knight is just so important. White just takes, so position is equal. I don't know, strange, a very strange opening by black, and he managed to survive, but I don't know. I think it was a risky decision to play like this with black. Queen d2, of course, good move by white to control the d file, so white is trying to be still a little better, but it's gonna be difficult to prove that. Position of black is just so safe, so white cannot do much. Yes, you control the d file, but what's next? And black is hoping to get somewhere. The move a4. We see the move a4 instantly. Yes, why not, in case it works. And we have the move queen b2. So queen b2 is basically a draw offer. In case you play for a win with white, you push the move b4. Black is gonna play most probably the move a3, so a2 pawn is very bad. On the other hand, we control the d file. Having little time on the clock, American Grandmaster decided that it's time to make a draw, so queen to b3, and yeah, after changes of one pair of rooks, position is just equal, so both players agree to a draw. Not a very interesting game, but I think that American GM missed his chances. Next match is between the French Maxime Vachier-Lagrave and Grebnev, who is a Russian player, young player, and playing very safe chess, playing fast, so very practical player, showing great results in open tournaments, but of course it's not the level of Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Which, not to forget, Maxime played yesterday so many games, I think 9 games against Artyomov, finally won the sudden death, but it took him so much energy. So today, the Frenchman, I think a draw would be the expected result, because it's just so difficult to play. I mean, not to be tired after 9 games, especially sudden death takes you a lot of energy, nerves and so on, so you need some rest. We have the Russian, one of the safest openings, bishop f5 immediately. Yes, all is theory. Let's see what Maxime Vachier-Lagrave is trying. So we have the main line, or one of the main lines, all is theory. Bishop d6, exactly, c4, bishop e3, all is theory. Rook to b1, played very fast by white, and this is the first moment where Grebnev been thinking for quite a while, played rook d8, which looks normal. I mean, the rook on d8 is well placed. The idea of white is to play d5 at some moment, but after d5 there is always knight to e5, so white needs to execute the move d5 without changing the knights, which is very difficult as well. Black wants to get queen g6, so every endgame is just equal. Very difficult to do something. c5, 20 minutes of thinking, and we have the move c5 been played. Queen to b5, so things remain pretty forced. Queen to d5 looks normal. take. Rook to b8 as well, very normal, so black just continues changing, and bishop on e7. Can this position be better for white? Personally, I don't see how. And yes, Maxim Shilograph is not even trying to play for win, probably just still too tired, so it is a fast draw. Indeed, yeah, not much to happen. For me, Maxim Shilograph is a big favorite in this match, especially in Rapid and Blitz chess. Maxim is so strong. But the next game is Grebnev white, so in case Grebnev will manage to push or to play a very long game, because Maxim is a little tired, so this might be the best try. Let's see, the next match is between Liam Avander, another American GM, and Sargsyan Gabriel, who is Armenian player. Sargsyan Gabriel been almost 2700, always had a great results during the chess Olympiads. I think he's approximately 40 years old, if I'm not mistaken. And Liam Avander, very young American player, so an interesting match. Liang Avander should be a clear favorite. So we have e4, e5. Most of the games we see somehow is e4, e5. Knight c3. Maybe white is avoiding the Russian opening, Russian or Petrov. I think in Europe this opening is called usually Petrov. So knight f3, knight f6. That's why we have the move order with the move knight c3 and then g3. No, he just plays some random opening. Position of black in this opening is perfectly fine. Normal setup, not much is going on. The only question is, do you play it with a5 or without the move a5? So for example here, maybe it's a bit more careful to play the move a6, because in case we play a5 we can never long castle in almost no circumstances, but a6 gives you a little bit the option that maybe white is playing short castle, so we might start to do something against the white king, but yes, it makes no big difference. Bishop d7, always pretty normal. King h2. The idea of white is to get the move f4 done. h6, f4, a4. So black is basically not reacting against the f4 push. This is strange. In most of the cases, black should do something against the f4. So, for example, to change the knight is not so bad. Or maybe there's a way to prepare the move d5, but I think it's difficult. So to change pair of knights should be not a bad idea. Black is just doing nothing against the move f4. Rook a6. Wow, what is this? Where the rook is going? I don't know. Rook a6. Really strange, because what's next? So we see the move f5 been made. White is getting ready for this pawn rush. Knight d4 now. g4, alright. Knight h7, yes. Black has to stop white from playing the move g4. So knight h7, knight g3. The question is, should black change first pair of knights and then to play knight h7? I would say yes, but not so sure. I think white is just better. Also, I don't understand why to have the rook on a6 for black. Okay, knight h7, knight to g3. Let's proceed. f6. So black is just trying to be very safe, but still I believe black should have changed one pair of knight, because somehow it feels safer, because now white might have this like knight d5, c3 somewhere, and on the other hand we have like knight b3 escape. Very difficult to say, but by feeling I would change one pair of knight. Now white is changing by itself pair of knight. Also that is, I don't know if white really have to do that, because white to do that, in case we go like knight d5, let's say c6, we just go knight e3, then slowly we prepare with the move h4, and at some moment we're gonna play g5. Thus black has enough counterplay on the queen side. Hard to say, so it's like both players a little bit stuck. Still, I like the position of white better. Knight e2, okay, quite a safe approach by white, and d4, so he wants to squeeze black on both sides. Eventually the idea of white could be to play against a knight on h7, so we play like h4 and then we switch to the queen side, because black is playing without a knight. So this might be the idea of Liang Evander. Let's see. D5. Okay, he's closing everything. Finally, the rook is getting on b6, so some use case. Queen c2, c6. Yes, black is searching for a counterplay, and white is getting ready to play h4, g5 at some moment. Let's see if the moment is gonna arise. No, now it's black, knight g5. So black thinks that there is enough time to push e4, because otherwise cd would be a mistake. Because now the e4 square can be used by white. I don't know if knight g5 is actually the right approach. Looks strange to me. Maybe black should have waited a little bit more, because it's difficult as well for white to do something. Yes, it might be h4, g5, but on the other hand, is it that dangerous? Maybe not. So take knight to g5, h4. Nice move by white. Black was king f8, because in case of g takes h4, I guess there is knight e4, so we have this monster knight on e4 and g5 coming next, so it might be dangerous. King f8, ag. Yes, this is a problem. This is what we spoke about, the square e4, so knight can get there, rook can get there. King to e7, queen d2, just a safe approach. Check king on g2. Yes, it looks not good. It looks not good for black. I think Liang Evander is going to win the first game. Still, of course, the game is not over yet, but this is looking very bad. White has g6 idea, followed by, let's say, knight h5, or g6 followed by g5 as well. White might try g takes f6, followed by g5. All of that is looking very, very bad. So I think black just lost the game by playing c takes d5, knight g5, so a bit impatient. Maybe he missed the move h4. On the other hand, is it difficult to find it? Not very difficult, but yeah, it's possible to miss, of course. So yes, this is the critical moment of the game, and probably white is going to win the game. Next match is Lekong Liem against Kertik. I guess Lekong Liem is a big favorite, especially in rapid and blitz chess. Very, very strong. So far, Lekong Liem easily qualified for the round number 4. We see c3. Can we call it an opening? No, and just a random opening, which Lekong Liem is not hoping to get a better position. He hopes to outplay Kartik, but yeah, how to outplay? So it's like a London system, but isn't even a try to get better. I see nothing. It's like white changing basically everything, and yeah, so we have completely equal position. Bishop d6, yeah, but this is not a play for a win. So Lekong Liem decides to make just a short draw, and probably his strategy is to go for the rapid and blitz. Now b6 is weak, but as well c3 is weak, so to see a draw during next couple of moves is completely normal. Yeah, okay, that's it. Boring game, because the stronger player, Lekong Liem, just hopes to get to rapid and blitz chess, even though he plays an opponent of 2576, Kartik, some Indian player. I'm not familiar with the Kartik at all, except the games he played so well during the World Cup. Maybe Lekong Liem really thinks that he is just the rating of the Indian players too low for the strengths he shows, and he thinks that the safest way is to go for rapid and blitz. Let's see if Lekong Liem is choosing the right strategy. Next game, we have Shankland and Richard Rapport. So here, of course, Richard Rapport is a huge favorite. We know that Richard likes to play very interesting openings, very creative chess. Shankland, on the other hand, is more of a theoretician. So I think Richard should be a big favorite here. h3 line, alright, knight f6, e5. All of this is still theory. Both players playing quite fast. bishop e6, knight, bishop e3. Yeah, this is a normal opening. I thought personally that white should be doing a little better, but maybe my evaluation of this opening is just wrong. Also, queen d2, was it really needed to play queen to d2 instantly? Because there is this move bishop d5, so now we can not go bishop h6 because bishop takes f3. And knight has no squares to go because e5 pawn is going to be eaten away. So I don't know if queen to d2 is the right approach. Shanklin played it very fast, but yeah, maybe there is something better for white than to go queen to d2. So I don't know what could be better. Maybe knight e4 is looking logical. So now we're gonna play queen to d2 next. Maybe as well there is some careful move, because sometimes we have the small moves that could be very strong, but I don't know. Knight e4 is still my favorite, but okay, queen d2, bishop on d5. All of this is hard to say. Knight takes on d5, c takes d5, and c3 was the idea of playing d4. It looks like a small edge for white, but is it enough to play for a win? And we have bishop h6. I don't like this move at all, because it goes against the strategy of white. The strategy of white is that black bishop on g7 is just so bad. So white should usually switch the game to the queen side, or try to annoy black with moves like h4, h5, maybe to get the knight from f3, for example, knight h2, knight g4. But it depends really what is the next strategy of white. So there are a few ways of playing this position. Personally, I would think maybe to play something like rook ad1, because in case black takes on d4, we're gonna take back, and then we play rook c1. So we play against the bad bishop on g7, which might give white very small edge. Bishop h6, the move in the game, I just don't get it, because what's the point? You change the bishop on g7 and this is just a straight equal position. We have rook c1. White continues playing just for a draw, because okay, at least just go back. Bishop e3. Okay, sometimes it's better to admit your mistake. We have rook c1, queen a4. Maybe Richard starts to play for a win, because obviously Richard understands he can change the bishop, then he changes rooks, and then he plays rook c8. So basically this is a draw over. He plays queen a4, so black is playing for a win. And a5, maybe indeed black is just doing slightly better. g3, b5, black is advancing, yes, black is doing slightly better. Probably it's not enough to play for a win, yeah. g5 is normal, rook a2. It looks a bit dangerous for white, but Shanklin is just defending in the most primitive way, but seems to be enough. Knight b3, also white is little lucky not to get much worse here. Take e6, knight f6, f4. Yeah. Black is not in time to be better. Bad luck for the Hungarian #1, because it looked like black should be doing better, but now we have even g4. White to play g4. He wants to give sort of a mate, but is it gonna work? Okay, just a draw. So yeah, he could have gave as well perpetual check. So all in all, not a very interesting game. I think white had a slight edge after opening, but by choosing a wrong strategy with bishop h6, just a draw. And I believe that maybe black had a chance somewhere to play for a win, but been a bit unlucky. Sometimes you do well the right moves, but just there is no luck, and this is, I think, the current case. Next we have Aronian against Wojtaszek. Yes, Aronian is a huge favorite in the match. Aronian is the better player in classical chess and much better player in rapid and blitz. I think rapid and blitz is not the strengths of Wojtaszek. Wojtaszek is a very well prepared player. Of course, he's a very good player, but not the level of Aronian. In classical chess, he might be able to fight, but in Rapid and Blitz, I think Wojtaszek will have trouble against Aronian. And actually, the first game, he's losing the first game with the black pieces. Wojtaszek tomorrow will be difficult to win with white. Let's see what happened. Ace-3. What is this opening? So white is just trying any random approach. Queen h5 seems to be the preparation of Aronian. Let's see what is the sense of that. White is winning a pawn, but is it better? Because we have the king on e1, so very creative opening, but strange opening, very strange. Let's see, so we have short castle, knight f3, c5, c5, okay, c5, so probably black wants to have this very strong bishop, indeed, bishop e3, so interesting idea as well by white, because white goes long castle. On the other hand, long castle is dangerous, there is bishop f6, rook b8. I don't know, all of that is looking strange to me. Very strange position. By feeling black should have enough for the pawn down, but maybe I'm wrong here and black is slightly worse. But what an opening. I have never seen something like that. So a3, just waiting for a move. It would be very interesting to see what actually happens in case of a normal knight c6. No idea. Why not just to play knight to c6? But okay, we have the move d5, so we have this crazy queen h5 idea with a bishop b5. Now the king is pinned, queen e5 coming next. Black is giving up on the e5 pawn because black could have protected the pawn. Black hoped to have enough counterplay here, which is pretty logical, and finally not getting enough counterplay. Maybe Wojtaszek hoped to be okay after moves like queen a2, but on the other hand, what is the threat of having the queen on a2 check? Just king d2, so very safe. I don't know, something strange happened. Queen d5, rook e8. I don't know what is the point of move rook e8, because it doesn't help black much to have the rook on e8. Long castle, very logical. Queen d5, rook e1. So white does the most natural moves. Knight on d2, why not? In case the g2 pawn cannot be taken, so Wojtaszek takes the pawn on g2, and we're gonna see trouble on the g file as well. White continues being pawn up, so endgame, but this endgame is better for white. Yeah, this is a much better endgame, I think, because a7 is weak, bad pawn structures, bishop pair is not saving. Yeah, very easy win for Aronian. Let's see the execution part. Position of black is looking so bad. Yeah, this is looking really bad. Chances to make a draw? I don't think so. These four pawns are starting to move ahead, and bishop pair probably is not going to save. Bishop e7, d4, f6, knight to d3, king g6. I don't know, I think with black we should try to play like g5 before it's too late, at least to have a little bit of something like g4, h5, h4, just little counterplay. King on g6, d5, c6, bishop c5, d6. Yeah, zero chance for the Polish player. All this is looking like it is a game over, because white is winning the pawn on a6 now, and the a pawn is going to be a queen. Very easy win for Aronian. Next match is between Yu Yangyi and Sindarov, also a very interesting match, I believe. Hard to say who is a favorite here, difficult to say. My personal favorite, I don't know, I think Yu Yangyi is maybe a slight favorite in classical chess and in rapid, and Sindarov maybe in blitz. Let's see what happened in the opening. So we have c4, e6. Once again we have this. We have Catalan. Now we have the main line of Catalan with a4. Very safe, and h6, interesting. h6 not very often played. Sindarov as well saw it like 10 minutes before playing the move h6. Strange. Okay, so the question is it his preparation or he just played h6 over the board? I guess it should be preparation. Knight on d2, so Yu Yangyi decides not to take the pawn immediately as well. Yu Yangyi might try some normal moves to play like for the long-term compensation, like e4, rook d1 first, but he goes knight d2, so white wants to win the pawn straight on c4, knight c6, queen takes c4 because d4 pawn is hanging as well. Knight takes c4 must be calculated because not always knight d4 is a good move, but it seems to be okay here. So queen takes c4, knight on b4, but this is looking just better for white. I don't understand this move h6. White should be not better for white. So queen to b3, b5, take, I mean rook b8, takes, and queen d1. Yeah. Does black has enough compensation? In my opinion, no. c5 is like the only move, yeah, because in case black will not manage to play c5, this would be very bad. Knight b3, take, but it looks like white should be doing better here. I don't get why is it like completely equal. I understand that black has some chances to play for a draw, but I think white is doing better. So something went wrong in the opening of Sindarov. So the game goes on. Now we are in an endgame. White is a pawn up. So we have this kind of plus equal endgame. Sure, black's chances to make a draw are pretty high, but it's a big fight. It's a big fight. Rook c1, knight e5, yeah. And black tries to secure a draw. Will Sindarov manage to equalize? Not yet, not yet. f6, of course, putting pressure on the pawn c4. Knight d7, the pawn at the moment cannot be taken because of the knight to b6 move, so we have rook c6, king g2. Still, not easy to win the pawn on c4. It should be a draw, but you are suffering, and at some moment there will be like rook a7, some trick. I don't know, it's something in between a draw and suffer. So knight d6, c5, knight e4, but I think the pawn still can be protected because it doesn't look like black is winning the pawn back, at least so fast. We have knight to b6, which is normal as well. Rook a7 is looking pretty normal because in case black takes, I think we can take back, and then we have this the rooks double on the 7th rank. So after the move rook a7, black has to be very careful. Maybe something like rook c7. But as well here, many different options for white. We have moves like knight to b6 now. I don't know. I don't know if this is a draw or black has to be still very, very careful to make a draw. Something in between, not sure. So we have knight b6 immediately played and rook a7. Yes, it's making sense now. Rook to d7 is a deadly threat. Knight c5 and rook d7, nicely played. Well done by Yu Yangyi, because how to keep the 7th rank alive, and he finds a way with rook b7. A good play by both. Actually, nice tactic. Knight takes f6 and taking. So now we have this rook endgame. Black is playing the move f5. Is it more a win or is it more a draw? In my opinion, it is more of a draw, because how to win that? To win that, we need the pawn to get maybe to e5, and then we can hope for rook d7, rook d6, which is still, I'm not convinced that this is a win, but it is a chance. So for white, it's very important to get the pawn to e5, but how do we do that? In case we move like king f3, there's going to be just rook c3 check, and very difficult to get the pawn to e4. And in case of h3, black is going to play the move h5, so there is no g4. Very, very difficult to win in this position, but maybe there is some way of playing like rook b5 followed by rook e5, and then like king g2, king h3, so without h3, and then king h4. So maybe this is like a possible option to play here for a win, to get like rook b5, rook e5, then we go king h3 and king h4 eventually. So we threat to play e4, and at the same time I want to play h3, g4. Still, it looks like more to be a draw, but maybe it is a chance, yeah. To get the rook to e5, so we want to play e4, and at the same time get the king to h4, play h3. Looks like still a draw, but maybe it is not an easy draw, so I don't know. It has to be checked. It's gonna be a long game. This is not a fast draw for sure. So in case UAE manages to win, it would be a huge step towards entering round 5 of World Cup. All right, let's take a brief look what did actually happen on the first table. So we had this very interesting game between Dubov and Praggnanandhaa. Now we are move 35, both players with very little time on the clock, especially Praggnanandhaa, just 39 seconds. Who is doing better? I think now Dubov is doing much better, no? If I'm not mistaken. Wow. Because we have this f4e3. How Dubov managed to get such a nice position. So let's go back to the place which we saw the position after knight f6, bishop c2. So Praggnanandhaa plays positionally, indeed bishop g3. So this is what we've been as well expecting. And we have the move e3. So Dubov outplayed Praggnanandhaa because e3. Knight f1 obviously looking horrible. The question is, what would happen in case of rook takes e3? Where is the trick? So there must be a trick. Could it be something crazy like knight g4? Maybe just a calm knight d5, but why is it so bad for white? Interesting. I don't see a clear reputation. I guess it is knight to d5, so the rook has no real good squares to go. For example, rook e2. I can go like knight f4, so again only rook e3. Yes, this might be dangerous because there is this queen g5 move. So now black wants to take and give a mate on g2, so eventually there is no good defense against it as well. Knight takes h3 and queen takes e3 threats. Yes, so I think he missed Praggnanandhaa missed the move e3. Very easy. So before playing bishop c2, he did not think that e3 is possible. This is looking really bad. What a bishop on c1. Knight e7. So clear advantage for Dubov in my opinion. Still, big game, no questions. Both players trying to be fighting, and yes, we have the move h5. Normal, take, d5, queen f7. Is it enough to win the game? This is the question. Rook d4, little trick is coming. Eventually rook takes d4 and queen g6. So rook g5. Well played by Dubov in my opinion. Protecting against the move c5 and d6, so to put extra pressure on the pawn on d5, and we have the move rook to b1. Can black win this position? I think black should be able to put big pressure because we have a couple of ideas. So we have the idea of somewhere making pressure on the g file. We have the idea of playing rook e8 followed by e2 as well. The knight is very nicely placed. So we have idea of playing knight f5, knight h4 next. Okay, at the moment the pawn f4 is hanging, but just generally speaking. So a lot of different options here for black. Let's see what, yes, rook e8 played by Dubov. Very normal, very logical. There is e2 coming, eventually knight f5 at some good moment. So white is under very big pressure here. Bad position for Praggnanandhaa. And in case he loses with the white pieces, it's going to be extremely difficult to win with the black pieces against Dubov. So yes, Dubov currently on a right path to the 5th rank of the World Cup. Strong, very strong play by Dubov. Strange opening by Praggnanandhaa, and Yeah, this is what you get. Sometimes when you want to do something extremely complex, you are overthinking and yeah, bad things are happening in case players start to overthink. This problem, I guess, we have at all the levels of the chess players. Sometimes it's just better. You don't know what to do. Okay, just play something solid, make a draw. That's all right. Pragnananda risked, and eventually this risk will be not rewarded. So then we have still Yakuboyev against Pranav playing. Who is playing for a win? Yeah, I think we're still having an equal endgame. Not much is going on. Maybe White is putting some slight pressure. So Pranav is trying to play for a win, but yeah, pawn on h2 should give Black enough to make a draw. Yeah, this is gonna be a draw like expected. The rest of the games ended in a draw, except for we have Sargsyan still trying to defend. What is going on here? So now we have moved 39. We expected Black to most probably lose the game, and I guess this is what going to happen next. Yeah, to save that is not possible. And Yuengyi Sindarov, yes, the game just started, so most probably we're gonna see a rook e3, a rook on e5, or king f3, e4, but I think it's not enough, so rook e3, rook e5, and king is gonna get to h4. Alright, let's wait in the game of Pragnananda against Dubov till move 40. We're at the moment move 39, so just 2 more moves to go. And that's it for my commentaries. Just 2 more moves, so it's funny to see what happens actually in the time travel. Probably I'm going to be back tonight to play a little bit on Lichess, or maybe Georgi and me we're gonna comment on World Cup, or maybe do some endgame. Let's see. But most probably we will stream again tonight. So let's wait for the last 2 moves to be move 40. The players will get additional time. Let's see if Dubov is gonna do something dynamic before the move 40. Pragnananda has just 1 move to make, so Dubov might play a very tricky move, or just try to be solid, so to make 2 solid moves with the black pieces, and then let's see what happens. On the other hand, we have the c5 d6 idea coming. So maybe actually the move rook e8 was not the best, because how to stop now the idea c5 d6, queen f5. Interesting, because white to go for an endgame. I think black should have tried, maybe not. Let's see, because queen f5, rook f5. The idea is knight e2 is coming next. Of course, black is still doing better, but is it enough to win the game? This is the question. Queen f5, yeah. I'm not so convinced in the move queen to f5, because rook f5 is sort of forced, and even white might go like rook to b2 with the idea rook bishop e1. So black is gonna play h4. Yes, maybe white needs to suffer a little bit more for a draw, but I think it's just a draw. I don't know why we saw the move queen f5. Why black changed the queens? A little bit strange, because maybe just a draw now. Dubov has 1 more move to make. He's thinking about, I don't know about what he's thinking. Knight e2, king f1, knight g3 back. But what's the point of that? So why not just to take now with the rook? I think there is nothing else that black can do actually. Yeah, he takes with the rook. All right, so move 40. Maybe black is doing slightly better still, but I somehow feel that it's not enough to win the game. I think this game should end as well in a draw. So all in all, we have just a couple of decisive games. So we have Martinez winning beautiful game as a black pieces against Sarana. Then Pranav Yakuboyev should be a draw. Is there a change? No, there is no big change, but okay, maybe white is pushing a little bit now somehow. No, it should be a draw. Then we have Martinez Sarana, so beautiful game won by Martinez. Then we have Liang Evander against Sargsyan, where White should win the game. Yeah, White is having exchange up, so it is winning. Aronian won very easily against Wojtaszek with a strange opening. And then we have the Suffer of Sindarov in a Ruken game. Probably it's gonna end with a draw, but let's see, because it might be still a very long game. All right, so thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe, please like the video, of course. Feels so strange, by the way, to say that, because if you don't like it, wait to watch it. Maybe see you in just a couple of hours, so approximately 4 or 5 hours from now, maybe we're gonna stream again. Wish you a good day, and I hope you enjoyed my commentaries. So thank you.